So today we're gonna take a look at Sentinels versus TSM, the first game of this new Sentinels roster and what they were doing. And it just so happened that Tenz was gonna pop off in this game and go 32-8 on this map of Pearl on Jet. And let's start with this round, round number 6, where this is one of the first rounds that Tenz has an op in his hand. Sentinels are on the defensive side, and here we go. Right, he's playing down B long with an op in hand. Let's see how it goes. So TSM, they're going to do all the normal stuff, right? They go for this little recall star here. We get a KO knife in there as well early on, and they actually put a smoke here as well. And so Tenz, as you can see, starts creeping up. Here's his POV, right? He starts just creeping up, and he's going to be playing on this little off angle here. And then eventually what's going to happen as, TSM are going to be exploring the map and whatnot. Eventually, the KO and the chamber just there are going to come to Tenz, right? But I just want to quickly talk about, and we'll get to this in another round as well, how this B side of the map has changed ever since the chamber nerfs, because this was quite a common thing to see, right? With the old chambers, you'd be able to put these, teleporters, one really far up, one really far away, and be able to play this really aggressively. Obviously, with a Jet, this is risky for Tenz to do, right? He only has a dash. He can only really get so far away, and he can't get all the way back here into full safety, right? He no matter what happens, he's gonna potentially be in some danger, and that does happen, as you will see. But I just want you to watch when Tenz is gonna get this first kill, just the reaction of how quick he does everything, right? Because it's absolutely insane. Before that, though, we're actually going to see Zekken get a kill as well. Zekken was really popping off here in mid. He just jumps on this, creates a little, different angle for himself, gets that kill on 7 straight out. And now TSM, as you can see there, are going to start coming towards Tenz. And I just want you to watch, right? So, kill. Activates dash, right? He hadn't activated the dash at this point, so activates dash, gets this smoke down as well in a frame of a second, right? So it's shoot, dash, smoke, perfect smoke in a millisecond, right? And avoid the shot from Corey, all just in the space of an absolute millisecond. Puts that down, and you think, oh, Tenz, he's going to retreat, right? He just got the kill, spikes down, they got another kill. You think, oh, he's probably going to come back, but no. Tenz actually pushes forward. But actually, he's going to miss that shot, dashes again, and then smokes and tries to save himself. Now, Tenz is going to start playing with old Jet there as he looks down to the floor, I think, to smoke himself again. Doesn't have any other smoke, and so has to just run here. Zekken tries to help him out with this wall so that he can escape, but, he's kind of in here now. He's kind of stuck. But this is just insane stuff. Flash comes out, Tenz then peeks out here again, gets another kill there on Nature, and he was just farming, just absolutely farming. You could see the confidence. This was 2021 Tenz back again, right? With the confidence of this up on Jet again, right? It was like going back in time, and ultimately Sentinels win the round, and you could just see straight away. Right, one, the talent of some of the other players as well, right? Sassy is just getting easy kills. Zekken's, we saw that shot as well. But so the overall talent of the team is obviously just through the roof. But then you start to see this as well from Tenz. It is really, really good. But now let's come to the very next round, because this round, you would think is going to be an easy Sentinels round, right? Because TSM, they have classics, right? They do have the chamber headhunter, but other than that, they have classics. So this should be a very easy round for Sentinels to win. But let's take a look at Sentinels composition, because they're running this double duelist with Zekken on Neon, Tenz on Jet, but they're running with no-Sentinel. And this, it's a very risky strategy to play no-Sentinel on any map, on this defensive side, because there probably will be gaps. And against stuff, where classics, where you've got nothing to lose here for a side like TSM, you're going to see that they, are going to start to come in towards mid here. And just with one smoke, right, just this area normally has some kind of, chamber trap or killjoy alarm bot or something in there, right? Normally is just a bit of Sentinel utility. But this time, Sentinels don't have any of that, Ironic that Sentinels aren't playing a Sentinel, isn't it? But here we go. And so just with this one smoke, TSM, managed to just walk in here, right, and get very, very deep, very, very quick. And they're just going to go together as a team. There's Tenz. He can't really see anything. And Sassy's, aware that they are going to come there. And actually, they get the support that, that there are people there. So they want to deal with it. But we're going to get a flash around this corner. And, even though the trades do start going back and forth, we actually end up in a 3v2 for TSM. They pick up 2 weapons as well, just from that. And I do think that, that probably doesn't happen. It probably is a disadvantage of the comp. Obviously, you could say that, sometimes the benefits outweigh the negatives, but that definitely is a negative for Sentinels that, on this defensive side, no Sentinel on Pearl, it's tricky, is what I would say. It's very, very tricky. But what's going to happen here is Tenz is going to manage to find this kill on GMD. GMD here maybe a bit aggressive looking for that fight. You know, they're in a 3v2. You know, he's taking a 1v1 there. They have a fatal as well, as you can see just there. You know, now they're in a 2v2. You know, one of them doesn't have a gun as well. So Hayes dies just there. And even though Tenz is going to die here to nature, Pancata's going to play this really well, right? So he smokes off the spike, taps the spike, and then does what you should always do here, which is don't stay by the spike. Come as far away as possible as you can, right? Because they're going to be aiming probably at the spike after you've tapped it. And so Pancata just peeks out the other side, manages to get that kill, and wins that clutch just there for Sentinels. Well played by him. But you can see that this comp that they are running, if they are going to run this kind of comp, you know, in, you know, the Sao Paulo tournament and whatever, you know, that could cause them some problems. But now let's swap sides, come to round 17. So Sentinels are now attacking, and in this round they are just going to go for a pretty straightforward B hit, right? And actually TSM were playing Chamber. This is, you know, a pretty rare sight these days. We don't see a ton of Chamber, to be honest, but they decided to go for Chamber, and, you know, they put the trap here for the Chamber, and he's going to go and put his teleporter, you know, pretty deep on the site. And this, again, is what I mean about how this B site has changed, because normally we'd be seeing the Chamber playing up here, right? So Sentinels, they do the recall star, they do a Prowler, all of that good stuff, and they start to come in towards the site. You're going to see that Corey here on Chamber, you know, puts his teleport all the way back there, very deep, right? And this is how this B site has really changed, because unless you do have an operator and a player that you really trust with that operator, it's very difficult to defend this now, right? This becomes a pretty difficult space to try and defend without, you know, an OP Chamber there to, you know, kind of tell you straight away whether there's someone there and they don't have to care about their life and whatnot. So this is really changed Pearl, I think, to be honest. The fact that, you know, you are going to see, even if a Chamber is playing, you know, they're going to be back there. We saw the trouble that Tenz got into playing Jet even, you know, that being aggressive down this B long angle, if you're on your own, is very risky. Right, so Sentinels, they're just going to carry on, though, and come in. They actually don't have a great buy fully for everyone here. As you can see, definitely has a Stinger and whatnot. In goes the Astral, but you're going to love what Tenz does here in this round, right? So they put up the Neon Wall. They get the plant in on it. You know, they put up the Astra ult just there, as you can see. And Tenz is going to do stuff that, you know, again, it's pretty rare. Jet is becoming more common now on this map after No Chamber, but, you know, it wasn't super common, but this is one of the things you can do, which is peek heaven here. So we're going to get a flash here from Def going through the Astra ult, and then Tenz is going to peek with it, but, I mean, this is insane, right? So Tenz, he's looking this way first, right? He's checking this corner first. You would think, looking at this shot right here, you can tell who's going to win this fight. But you'd be wrong, because that happens instead. And I have no idea how that happened, but it did. How does Tenz find that shot at that time? I don't know. We end up in a 5v4 retake here. They send a fade ult in, but Sentinels are just playing it very deep. Again, this is very difficult now for TSM. The KO ult comes off as well from Def, so even more challenging, right? Like really tough, because, you know, it is going to be a big challenge now. And even though, you know, TSM do well there to get that kill on Def and whatnot, it's just too much in the end. The time, you know, just starts sticking very low because of that KO ult. And yeah, they end up losing the round, and Sentinels win another. And then finally, let's finish with round number 18. And what you're going to see in this one is actually, yeah, you're going to get the Chamber and the Race coming up towards B. But I think, again, like, if you're going to do this, right, do you really need the Chamber here, right? Because this Chamber still has a trademark, right? And you can't put a trademark all the way over here because it's too far away if you're going to play like this. I do think that really, in my personal opinion, this map does need like a Killjoy or a Cypher. Personally, I don't think this Chamber is getting enough value here, to be honest, because, you know, if you need this Raze to be with you anyway, right? Because if you got a kill as this Chamber TP'd away, you can only go that far, right? So this Chamber would still be in trouble even if they got the first kill, right? And they popped the Chamber ult this round as well, TSM. So you have, you know, a Chamber ult there, you know, a very good gun to look down on this angle, but, you know, you're still feeling the danger even if you get that first kill, so you need a bit of support. Well, that could essentially be any agent at that point, right? Like, you might as well just push this with any two agents if you're going to do it. And so what's going to happen is, you know, they are going to push that, but they're not going to find value in this. A side is going to be weaker because of it, right? And now you don't have your Sentinel utility, you know, in this kind of area or whatnot either. And so, you know, you have to have the KO watching there, right? Which means you have to have a very weak A site. And so, you know, it goes on and on and on. Eventually, Sentinels are going to come down towards R, as you can see. But Zekken is going to lose that first fight against Hayes just there. We end up in a 4v5. But Sentinels are just going to come in towards this A site. And they're going to plant in a pretty interesting spot that you don't often see. And we'll explain that as we go forward. So In they come, send a Prowler there. You get the jet smokes here from Tenz. He's going to send another one in as they come in onto this A site. Tenz are going to updraft onto this box here and just check in towards the dugout. They get the spike down, you think, but no, they actually go and plant in a different spot just here from Def. And this is not somewhere you often see a plant, right? Because this wall can be spammed, and it does actually get spammed a bit, and Def does lose a bit of health there. But he does manage to get the spike down. A KO nade comes in, and I think I can explain why they go for this, right? And you'll see it when Pancada places down his smoke. So we get the little KO flash there to allow Def to try and escape. And the thing is, of course, Sentinels do have this control, right? They've come down this way. They've seen that they have this control. Now, there's always that potential of a reflank, but you can see that Sassy is watching that. We're also going to see one of the best fade haunts you're ever going to see. And so it does mean that, they have a nice line of sight from here. You can also see this from here as well. So, it's not the worst plant spot in the world once it is down, but you're going to see, I think, why they do decide to go for this as the retake starts to come in from TSM. So they're going to send in all of this. But it's where these stars get placed, right? Particularly this one just here, right? Because, there goes the Fade Haunt, by the way, that reveals literally all of these players. So Sassy just puts a Fade Haunt, like, on the top of this building just here, and all of these guys get revealed, and, well, it just becomes a bit of a shooting season as they can see where they are. But now this smoke goes up, right? And this smoke just here, you're going to see when we get down to the last player as they just destroy them here, Sentinels. It becomes just a one-way for these guys, right? Like peeking out of here is just very, very risky because it's a one-way. They can see you. You can't see them, right? So it's just so hard, which means that you kind of have to come out this way. So essentially, you make them, you force them come out of this tiny, tiny gap here. Which is not an ideal situation as the defenders, and so TSM ultimately, do get punished for all coming down this way, and it's another good round by Sentinels, and they would go on to win this game. They would go on to lose to the Guard. We might get to that. We might even get a rematch of that. We'll see. But overall, a pretty good showing by Sentinels, considering they haven't been practicing too long. They have a pretty much a new team. It was a pretty good showing overall, particularly by Tenz. It was good to see Tenz, really like pop off in a game and be like, oh, okay, well, if that can happen consistently, then, maybe Sentinels can be very dangerous.